Hey guys, Jester here. Today we're going to be going over the Homebrew Saltmarsh campaign, Part 3, Baltron's Beacon. So, like I said in Part 2, I combined both the Tomb of the Lizard King and Baltron's Beacon into a campaign for the Hool Marshes. Okay? Both of these in my world take place after U1, 2, and 3, the original Saltmarsh series. And in any case, in the Tomb of the Lizard King, it had a black dragon. My last video, I discussed about the black dragon some in the video where I discussed dragons in the world of Greyhawk. And there'll be a link up here at the end of this video, somewhere around in here, for that. But in any case, so in combining these two modules, and whether they were combined or not, they both had, in my opinion, errata in it, and some things need to be changed. There was a lot of stuff in Baltron's Beacon that needed to be changed, in my opinion, and there were some glaring mistakes in the map work and all that stuff, which we'll go over here shortly. But let's see, what did I do with that map? There was a map, and I apologize for not having it ready for today because I forgot that I was going to talk about that. But there's a map that, here we go. There was a map that was online. Again, I don't remember who drew it, but in any case, it was this map right here. It might have had something to do with the Living Greyhawk campaign, possibly. I don't know, but it was a very good map. That's what the one I used for the campaign, because it shows both Baltron's Beacon and the Tomb of the Lizard King. It makes some adjustments as far as where everything's located, because originally these weren't put together as a location in the Hool Marshes, and the way that everything was designed, especially in Tomb of the Lizard King, it just didn't. Or no, I'm sorry. In Baltron's Beacon, it didn't. No, take it back. Go back to Tomb of the Lizard King. It didn't flow well with the way the World of Greyhawk area there in the Hool Marshes was actually designed. And so, anyway, so the whoever made that map made it much more linear and to be able to follow the everything the way that I in my opinion should have been done. So anyway, so that you can find that map online. Just Google Hool Marshes, and a whole bunch of maps will pop up, and that's one that's included in there, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But anyway, so let's get into Baltron's Beacon. There was one thing that I've noticed. And it doesn't really matter which edition of Dungeons & Dragons you're playing, whether it's a first, second, third, fifth, whatever. There's that everybody seems to, all the game designers, whether it be actual game designers or ones that are in magazines, in the case of the early days when you had people submitting things to Dungeons & Dragons magazines, they all fell in love with one or two specific monsters, and they seem to always be in all the modules. Aboleth is one of those. It's heavily been used in 3rd edition, and it actually appeared quite a few times in 1st edition modules too. But another one of those was the Panlung Dragon. Now, Panlung Dragon is an Oriental dragon. You're in the world of Greyhawk. The Orient isn't in the world of Greyhawk. Now, there is another map that's online where it shows you all of the lands and names them and everything of that is in the western half of the hemisphere that the world of Greyhawk takes place in, that none of the modules take place in. But if you're dealing with just the modules part of the world of Greyhawk, the Flannis, it's not. There is no Oriental anything in that part of the world, and I mean the closest you come to it is the Arab states, up in the northwestern corner of the Flannis. Zeef, Tuzmet, and Akbar or Ekbir, but you don't have the actual Orient, and so to have a pan-lung dragon in the world of Greyhawk is just ludicrous to me. But there's several first edition modules that have a pan-lung dragon in it, and Baltron's Beacon is one of those. Okay, so in this adventure, the bad guy in the BBEG in Baltron's Beacon is supposed to be kind of in league with the Panlung Dragon, sort of. I think is how it goes down, or maybe the Panlung Dragon is in league with the Lizard King, which is different Lizard King than in Baltron, or than in Tomb of the Lizard King. But in any case, there's a Panlung Dragon there. Completely ridiculous in my opinion. Doesn't need to be there at all. Okay, so that would be the first thing that I would do if I was you as a dungeon master, is just get rid of the Panlung Dragon. Now, there's several ways to go about it if you are combining it with the Tomb of the Lizard King, or even if you're not. The map that I showed you lists a black dragon lair, and the name of the black dragon on that map is the black dragon that's encountered in Tomb of the Lizard King. There in the Wandering Monsters list in Baltron's Beacon, there is a black dragon listed as one of the wandering monsters that you will encounter, and so you could make the Panlung Dragon be the black dragon. Have the black dragon take the place of the Panlung Dragon. And if you're combining the two, have it be that specific dragon that's in Tomb of the Lizard King, and place his lair where the map shows you, excuse me, and so forth. So just get rid of the Panlung Dragon right off the get-go, replace it with the black dragon, and you'll be good to go. All right, so that's the first thing right off the bat. All right, now I will say, in their monster selection, which is much more extensive than what was in Tomb of the Lizard King. Tomb of the Lizard King had very, very small wandering monster tables, even in the swamp area. But Baltron's Beacon is quite extensive. That is one of the highlights for me, because if you go to page 13 in Baltron's Beacon, it lists the monster statistics, and it lists the names of all the monsters that you're going to come across. The very first, out of the first three here, you've got the Aljoid and the Sifal. That's Cifal. I looked those up in the first edition monster manual. Those are pretty cool monsters. Never heard of them before this module. Even though I own the, obviously the first edition monster manual, never really paid any attention to them. But after finding them in here and looking, reading all about them and everything, they're pretty cool monsters. So yeah, it's just things like that it's like, well done. So definitely try to work those into your campaign, because like I said, I've never heard of them before. Your players probably hadn't heard of them before, so it'll be a unique experience for your players to run across these things. One other one that I added that wasn't in here comes from second edition, and it's called the Mudmen. Okay, that is a really, really cool monster to come across. Very hard, at least to me, it was very hard to incorporate it into the adventure. I mean, it shouldn't be, because you're in a swamp, but just trying to steer the party in that direction to where they come across this, because it's very, like I said, it's a very unique monster in your own. You have to have certain conditions to even encounter it, and so based on that alone, it's a very hard monster to actually have your players encounter. But if you can finagle it to where they will, I absolutely positively do it, because it's a great monster. Okay, but in any case, so that's the end of the monster section. All right, so let's go to the maps. This, and of course, this is not the original. Neither one of these is the original. These are reprints. Go to the back page of the reprint. You've got the keep and the what do they call it? Oh, sorry, the gatehouse and the keep. So this section here is the gatehouse, and this down here is the keep. All right, so of the gatehouse here, you will notice that there is on the first floor and the first floor and the second floor, there are what looks like little wall sections coming out on the sides as like wings. And what those are is, it's basically, you've got the castle walls surrounding everything, and they obviously run into the two towers of the gatehouse. But the description of both the gatehouse and the description of the outer walls don't jive with the map. And so you've got on the second floor, it shows doors coming out to where they can walk across the top of the crenellated battlements on the top of the walls, the castle walls. The problem with that is when you are on the floor of the second floor, you're only 10 feet in the air. The top of the walls are 20 feet high. So in order for you to be coming out the door 10 feet on the floor of the second story, you'd still be 10 feet lower than the top of the wall where you're supposed to be. So that access would actually have to occur on the third floor. So you're going to have to make that adjustment. You're going to have to get rid of the doors going out into the walls on the second floor and place them on the third floor. If you wish to make adjustments to who's where in the castle to make it fit your idea of what that should look like, maybe being that's the case, go for it. That's your prerogative. The other thing that I didn't really care for, there's several more things to get, but another thing that I didn't care for is on the gatehouse here, in between the levels, in between the floors, there's no stairs. It's trap doors with ladders. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Now, I'm not a medieval expert by any means, spec castles, specifically. And maybe that was a thing back then. Maybe, to save cost, because, it's more expensive to build stairs than it is to have a freaking ladder propped up against the wall, climbing up to get to a trap door. I don't know. But it would seem to me, if this is a gatehouse where you've got soldiers and they need provisions in a manner of getting up and down to protect the area, a trap door with a ladder just ain't gonna get it, especially trying to move provisions up and down. And the way they've got this here, you've got one of the main provision areas here on the first floor without any access into that area except for the trap door on the second floor. So you got to go into the building on the first floor on the one tower, go up the tower, up the ladder through a trap door, across to the other tower, and down that trap door, down that ladder to get to the provision area on the first floor. There's no doors into that place on the first floor whatsoever. That's kind of stupid to me too. But again, if that's how you want to do it, so maybe, I don't know, maybe if anybody broke in, they couldn't get to the provisions. Maybe that's an extra safe spot. I don't know. however you want to work that, or you can just add a door to the map. I suggest possibly doing that. But my main suggestion is place stairs here instead of these trap doors. Instead of these, you can have the trap doors, but instead of ladders accessing everything, just put some stairs in there. I mean, it just makes more sense. I mean, my God, how hard can that be? Another thing here is when you come into the keep area, it's basically a safety measure that they've got a portcullis here blocking anybody coming in from getting access past the original passage, and they show a little winch here on the other side of the wall to be able to raise and lower the portcullis. Makes sense. Okay. Now I get that in the keep, the portcullis here that they show is supposed to basically have been destroyed. It's kind of in shambles and it doesn't really exist. It doesn't block anybody. Great. But where's the freaking winch that was supposed to be there to raise and lower the portcullis if it actually worked? There's nothing there anywhere. Okay. I didn't like the fact that it was broken down and everything, just based on the interactions with the inhabitants that exist right now. And so I made a full working portcullis, and I had to add a winch here in G2. And so I just hand drew one in the G2 there, and that's where the winch is to be able to raise and lower the portcullis, because the G2 has the only access from the first level into the building. Okay, so obviously if you're trying to raise and lower the portcullis for people to come in, you're going to want access to that as quickly as possible so you can have it on the first floor. All right, if you don't like it being on the first floor, you can always stick it up on the second floor somewhere. Okay. Maybe harder for an invading army to get to, or whatever, I don't know, but place it wherever you want to, but at least place it. Okay. The utter lack of it not being there just bothered me greatly. All right, so again, the only way to get into this place above the first floor would be to come through the roof and through these trap doors. And these trap doors are less than 5 feet square. Because each square here is a 5 foot square, and the trap door is within the 5 foot square, and it doesn't even cover the entire 5 foot square. So it's obviously 2 to 3 feet square. Okay, that's what you have to access. Now, one of the toughest characters in this module, other than BBEG, is a 9th level ranger. Well, an X ranger. He's evil, because he's no longer a ranger, but he has several pets. He's got a warg and he's got a Hyracosphinx. Okay, now even the picture here shows him inside his room with his Hyracosphinx and his warg, because there's the window from the outside where his hawk is. Shows his hawk having just flown in from outside and sitting on the windowsill of the window, going into his. Now, how the Hyracosphinx get into this place? There's no stairs. Even the warg. How did the warg get up there? Because his room is like on the 3rd floor. How did the warg get in here? The warg didn't climb up a ladder. The Hyracosphinx didn't climb up a ladder. That Hyracosphinx didn't fly through that little tiny window. Okay, and that's about what the size of the windows are. They're actually narrower than that, given the descriptions of in the module. So the whole thing of these big creatures being anywhere other than ground level on that one tower is completely ridiculous. There's no way for them to have even gotten into the place. Okay, it's like sometimes the designers of first edition, it didn't seem like they thought out a whole lot of things logically before they just made stuff. It's just like, oh yeah, let's put a dragon in in this itty bitty room where the only access to the room is just barely big enough for a human to fit through. And the dragon doesn't have a polymorphing ability. How'd the dragon get in there? How's he going to get out? It's just like that kind of stuff just bothers me to no end. But anyway, um, yeah. So, so that's my issues with the map. All right, and just in just things in general like that. Now to the good stuff. Um, so basically, the premise of the module is this crazy old coot that's on the outer edge of the swamp. He's like a sage. Okay, he has he's figured out how to make a potion that is going to extinguish this black flame that exists and was basically, I guess you'd say, worshipped by or used by this cult. It was called the Cult of the Black Flame. Okay, and this black flame supposedly it burns cold and it basically destroys any flesh that comes in contact with it. It basically withers it away to like a husk. Okay, and so anyway, the cult had long disappeared, but apparently it's come back up somewhere to the south, to the semi far or far south, in the area where a friend of his now lives, and so this friend has called him for help, and so he's figured out how to extinguish this flame, but he has to make the potion first, and in order to make the potion, he's got these seeds that he's got to have the party take to an already existing flame inside this castle, this broken down castle in the middle of the swamp, and roast the seeds in that black flame that they can't touch with their bare hands. Okay, and so that's the premise of the module. Go there, roast the seeds, bring back the roasted seeds, and he can use that as an ingredient in the potion that will be able to extinguish the flame, because that's about the only way that the flame can be extinguished. Okay, and then he can send that potion down to his friend, and his friend can use that to fight the existing cult down there, wherever that is, because it doesn't specify where this location south is. Okay, I've got my own designs on where that location is located that I'm not going to divulge at this time, but in any case, it is an existing module from way early on in Dungeons and Dragons history. But anyway, not any more on that right now. But anyway, so that's the premise. Okay. When they get to the keep, it's been several things are going on. The previous mage that came to the tower to try to find its riches and become wealthy and all that kind of stuff, a bad thing happened with him, whether it be an experiment or whatever, and now this green beam of light shoots up into the sky constantly. And well, it just so happens that the Lizard King, which is King Yis, which is not the Lizard King from the Tomb of the Lizard King. There are two different Lizard Kings there. Now, if you're combining this adventure, you can go two different routes here. You can make them two separate entities where you have the forces of the Tomb of the Lizard King fighting against the forces of the Lizard King Yis. So you can have a lizard man battle, problems going on there, or you can actually make the King Yis in Baltron's Beacon the actual Tomb of the Lizard King. Okay, and then that just sets a whole total different aspect onto this thing here. And again, that works well with what I was saying is making the Pan Lung the Black Dragon, because in Tomb of the Lizard King, the Black Dragon is kind of in alliance with the Lizard King, and the Pan Lung is in alliance with the Lizard King in Baltron's Beacon. So if you make the Pan Lung the Black Dragon from Tomb of the Lizard King, and you make the Lizard King Yis the Lizard King from Tomb of the Lizard King, then it just meshes real well together. Now that's not the route I took. I took the route of having King Yiss be King Yiss and Tomb of the Lizard King be Tomb of the Lizard King, and the two forces being at war with each other. But in any case, that's the way I did it. But that gives you a couple of options there. But in any case, so they get there and anyway, so King Yiss's lizard men worship this site because of this beam of green light. They think it's a holy thing, and so they worship. It's 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 a holy area for them. They're very protective of it. They don't like people trespassing, and they sure don't want you messing with the green light and by any chance making it go away. And so the current inhabitants have made a kind of an agreement with King Yiss that he'll allow them to do what they're doing there as long as they don't mess with the green light. And so they're trying to find the treasure of the guy who created the green light to begin with. And so anyway, so they're there. They're the antagonists to the story, and the characters have got to fight their way through them to get to the black flame so they can roast these seeds to get them back to the crazy old coot. All right, so anyway, several awesome things in this adventure. First, the Cult of the Black Flame. If you read up on Greyhawk lore and artifacts and magical items and all that kind of thing, basically the Cult of the Black Flame has something to do with the crystal of the Ebon Flame. And so in my campaign, I made them one and the same. The Cult of the Black Flame, in fact, was worshiping the crystal. And if you read in the Book of Artifacts about the crystal of the Ebon Flame, you will see how I come to that conclusion. But in any case, there is a place towards the end of the module, basically where the black flame that they've got to get to roast these seeds at is. It is it's a shrine area, and it is located on pages 30 and 31 of the reprint. I don't know if that's the same page numbers as the original module. I don't know why it wouldn't be, but in any case, page 30 and 31 of the reprint, and it's the shrine area. And in this shrine area, there is an altar kind of place, table, stone table, or whatever you want to call it. And there is on this stone table, there is a gong, and there is a bowl of water. I think the bowl of water is there, but there's a gong and a giant ruby. Okay. And I won't go into detail about what's up with the gong and the ruby, but basically what I did in my campaign, I made the ruby contain inside it the crystal of the Ebon Flame. So the crystal of the Ebon Flame resides within this ruby, and again, if you read up on the book of artifacts, you'll note that the crystal of the Ebon Flame is basically a sentient item, and so yeah, so it was basically speaking to several of my party members through dreams, one in particular, and trying to lure that character to it, and so anyway. That's how I worked that aspect of it. So in Tomb of the Lizard King, you've got the Cult of Orcus going on, and in Baltron's Beacon, you've got the Cult of the Ebon Flame, which actually worships the crystal of the Ebon Flame. The Cult of the Black Flame, which really worships the crystal of the Ebon Flame. Okay, so that you got that going on. Now, another real neat thing that I found in here, which is on page, if I can find my little, yeah, here we go, on page 21, which is in the library. Now, there's a crap ton of books in this library. Just a crap ton of books in this library. You got information on all sorts of things. But there's this one cabinet that contains these magical tomes, and the last one that is written about here, which is item L, it says, "This book bears conjuration magic and radiates evil. Its subject matter is demonology. It contains the spells Cacodemon and Spirit Rack on vellum pages, and also the true names of one demon of each types 1 through 5. Each time the book is touched, however, there is a 5% chance that a type 1, 2, or 3 demon, by random roll, will appear voluntarily, not summoned or controlled, and immediately attack the reader." And then it says something else in there that I won't go into because I don't want to give away too many spoilers here. But for all of you Greyhawk people out there, or even first edition really, specifically Greyhawk, what does that sound like to you? I know what it sounds like to me. It sounds like to me that book right there is none other than a copy, one of the 6 copies I believe it was. You know where I'm going with this? One of the copies of the Demonomicon of Igwulf. Yes, a Demonomicon of Igwulf is found here in Baltron's Beacon in the library. Now, if you don't want to go that route, it's your game. You can do whatever you want to. But in my game, they found the Demonomicon of Igwulf. They ain't got no idea what they found here. They touched it. They put it in. They put it in their bag of holding with all the other magical books that they found there. But as soon as they touched the thing, of course, this demon comes out and they got to fight it. So yeah, that was fun. Actually, I take it back. I changed it because each Demonomicon has 2 guardians. So I changed it up a little bit here, as the way from the way it was written. A demon didn't appear. I'm not going to go into what the second guardian is because my characters have not gone that far yet, and if they happen to be watching this video, I don't want them to catch on to any little spoilers there for them. But the first thing that appeared was another awesome monster that you can find within the pages of the first edition monster manual, and that, I believe it was first edition, it might have been second edition, but in any case, it's called the Volt. It basically looks like a little Hershey Kiss. It's just or this little some evil looking little fur baby. It's basically this round furry thing with these giant bug eyes, and it's got a tail at the end. Hence why I said it looks like a little Hershey Kiss. And the tail, if that's one of its 2 attacks. Its tail will shock you if it succeeds in an attack. Hence the volt part. It's like an electrical volt. Okay, and it's got these little vampire fangs, that it latches onto you and starts sucking your blood. Okay, it's just a cool little freaking monster. But there was a whole bunch of those. That was even though it was a group, it was the first guardian. Okay, of the Demonomicon of Igwulf. All right. Now I did a cool little thing where I didn't have miniatures because I'm all about miniatures. I didn't have miniatures of this monster. So what I did was I used actual Hershey Kisses to depict the individual volts. And as one of my players would kill one of the volts, they got to keep the Hershey Kiss. And then at the end of the battle, the player with the most Hershey Kisses got to keep the rest of the giant bag that I had bought of Hershey Kisses. So it was just a neat little neat little competition thing between the players, and a little reward at the end, and even for a little reward for each one they killed, So it's just everybody enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun. So anyway, but yeah, so that right there, I'm pretty sure that's all of the things about Baltron's Beacon that I really want to talk about. The rest of it, like I said, I don't want to give away all the spoilers, but those were two of the big things that I really really liked, and then all of the other stuff that I didn't like. Um, there was a couple of other things. There's another thing, another little monster, or another monster that you're going to come across in here that's really cool. I like the way they added it here, and um, it was a very interesting encounter. I'll put it that way. And in this module, you have a lot of challenges. You have a lot of challenges for your party, because again, like I said, the actual BBEG isn't a monster. The actual BBEG is the dungeon itself. Um, like I said, there's a lot of traps. There's a lot of not big traps, but just traps. There's a lot of traps. There's a lot of puzzles that they have to solve. A thief comes in real handy. I mean, you're not going to get through this module. You're not going to get hardly past anything in this module if you even got a thief. This is a thief paradise, okay? Because they get to shine, shine, beacon, shine. See what I did there? They get to shine in this adventure. They really do. Because their skills are put to the utmost test in this module. So if you've got a thief character that kind of doesn't feel like his character is contributing much, this is the module for that party, because the thief is just going to have an endless job to do in this module. And so anyway, yeah, again, Baltron's Beacon. Great module. Great module. Just got to make some changes that was from poorly created stuff in it. But overall, a phenomenal job done by the writers and the creators of the module. Just wish they'd paid more attention to some of the details. But anyway, that's about all I got. As soon as my guys and gals, as soon as they get through the whole thing, I will give you an update on how everything's going. I'll make another video about it, and give you all the juicy details about what happened and what took place, and where they are now and what their next plans are, and oh yeah, and beyond that, my whole goal is to actually get them to Saltmarsh, because I've actually, you can't see it here, but over here on the side table over here, I've got a good portion of the first part of of the city of Saltmarsh, buildings and all that stuff, terrain and the characters that they'll meet and all of that. From the beach head on to a certain portion, because obviously I ain't got enough money to create the whole entire village. But in any case, yeah. So I'm excited. I've got a ship and everything. I'm excited for them to actually get to Saltmarsh. They still ain't got to Saltmarsh yet, but I'm wanting them to get there and explore that area and see where that leads. And I've got a lot of things planned. Especially the once Crazy Old Coot gets the potion done, he's going to need someone to take it to his buddy down south, wherever that might be. And it just so happens that one of my characters fits right into that little adventure if they accept the quest. But right now they're kind of sidetracked, as a lot of times that happens. They're sidetracked and they're on their way to some place that I really wasn't wanting them to go. So hopefully my little encounter that I've got for them when we start back up again here in a couple of weeks will motivate them to change directions and head where I actually want them to go. But we'll see. If not, then the repercussions of them not making that decision will be what it is. Because life in the world goes on with or without their help. So, it's just the way it is. And so, anyway, we'll see. We'll see how things goes. But thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you stayed till the end of all our rants and ravens and all that good stuff. Make sure you check out the other links to the other videos that I've got here. Make sure you check out all the other videos on my website here, because I've got a crap ton of them. Reviewing all sorts of products and from D&D, whether it be TSR or Wizards of the Coast or GUI Cube or whoever, all sorts of stuff. But anyway, make sure you hit that notification bell and share with all your friends, and hit that like, and above all things, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get those subscriptions up so I can start getting paid. Need 1,000 so I can get paid. I'm at 126 right now, so I got ways to go. So, like I said, share them with all your friends, and kind of poke them and say, "Hey, subscribe. This is a good channel. Subscribe. Hey, help me out." Anyway, like I said, thanks for watching, and until next time, and as always, see you soon.